It will consist of of senior minister, Megan, 3 active members selected in the following manner. At the annual membership meeting, the membership shall elect one of its active members and an alternate to serve on the nominating ministry team for the next year's board. In the event of an unavailability to serve of the person so elected, the board will select a person from the active membership to fill the vacancy, other than a current board member. So at this time, I'd like to see if there are 2 people, David and LaDonna. Well, you'll be on the board. We need another person who will not be on the board, which could be me. So David and I will be on the nominating committee. Now I want to take this time to introduce our candidates. They're going to come up and just speak for a few minutes. The first one, and they're listed in the back of your the pamphlet here. They have a little bio. And the first one we're going to ask is Sue to come up and introduce herself as a candidate for the board.
It's always fun to be first because then you don't have to worry about going behind someone. It took 3 people asking me to be on the board to finally say yes. I thought that since I had stepped out for so long that, who am I? But I appreciate people seeing something in me that I could bring forth. Service has long been a part of my life. In high school, being a part of Rainbow Services, very important, and in church and life and work and other service organizations. I've tried to do that as best I could. I like being in community, and I do because I don't like being alone. It's real simple, and I find wonderful people to be with. I've been in this community now for 5+ years, I think, and it's been a good spot for me. I started Unity in 1979, and as I shared in my bio, when they were singing "Let There Be Peace on Earth," it got me. So I stayed, and I'm very glad to be a part of this new board coming forth. So thank you very much.
The second person is LaDonna Peterson.
My mother brought me into Unity in 1975, and I fell in love with Unity, and later fell in love with a Unity minister 15 years later. So 3 years ago, I concluded 30 years of serving 10 Unity ministries with my beloved husband, the Reverend Jim Peterson. Unity of Anchorage, Unity of Salt Lake 3 times, Unity of Santa Barbara, Unity of Federal Way, which is now Unity of Southbound, Unity of Centralia, and if I've missed anyone, I apologize because I love you and bless you all. It was my joy and honor to be one of the founding members of Unity of the Northern Lights, which today is Unity of Anchorage, a thriving ministry. I think it's the main Unity ministry in Alaska. Jim and I were living in Santa Barbara when we came here to help my mother, 7 years ago? Yeah. whenever 2016 was. And we started attending Unity of South Sound on Valentine's Day at the invitation of Chris Lasaraga, our dear friend, thinking that we shouldn't barge in on another Unity minister. But Jeffrey was very welcoming and loved Jim, and we mentored with Jeffrey and loved Jeffrey and blessed him on his way. And I found a way to serve here after my beloved Jim left. I had never made peace with plastic before, so I became your floral designer, which gave me a wonderful opportunity to love everything, because it's all beautiful. And I love all of you, and I appreciate this opportunity to serve you. Bless you.
Our next candidate is Candace Robeck.
Thank you. All I can say is that I felt called to serve in leadership. I retired about a year and a half ago. Took about 6 months off and then decided it was time to get active in my community. I have previous experience with Unity of Salem and other nonprofit organizations, and I just look forward to having an opportunity to serve here. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Jan Janos.
Hi. Well, I've been part of Unity for several decades, but when I filled out my application to become a member at Unity of South Sound, there was a question on there of where would you like to possibly serve in the community. So, because I believe that when we serve in our community, it not only helps grow the community, but it truly grows us from within. So I put several things down, and one of them was board service. Well, the board was the first ones to call. So I said yes. I bring some skills that I think will serve well on the board. I've been a businesswoman all my entire adult life, owned many businesses. So I have the skills of sales and outreach and accounting, but personally, I can bring that prayerful excitement holding infinite possibilities for this community.
Thank you all. I wanted to read the section from the bylaws listing out the qualifications. Any person elected to the Board of Trustees must be an active member of Unity of South Sound. They have a desire to serve on the board, endeavors to live in accord with the Jesus Christ principles of love and truth as taught by Unity, furthers the work of this ministry through his or her active interest, love, and support, is a sincere and continuing student of Unity, conversant with its teachings, has demonstrated leadership qualities. And now I will introduce Michelle to get lead us into the vote.
Thank you, Nancy. Yay, what a beautiful slate of candidates we have, right? And thank you for stepping into service. I agree with you, Jan. It not only benefits our community, but it grows us in immeasurable ways when we serve our spiritual community. So this is our time to vote. Number one, if you did not already get a ballot form, please raise your hand and we will get you one. Okay, and for those of you online, Candace is going to send you, I know I'm online watching for comments and David's online watching for comments, but if there's anybody else, she will, and then you are a member, she will send you a ballot confidentially so that you'll be able to link into that. So, Congregates will vote as noted on the ballot. You will see we had the perfect number. We don't have any extras, which is awesome and a blessing. We have the people who stepped up just in general, but we also had 2 people who stepped up with concerns about full 3 years or whatever. So that's great because we happen to have one year partial term open, and we have one alternate position, which is, we don't have to fill it, but it's fabulous if we have it, so that's wonderful. So you'll see there what has shaken out in the nomination process, right? So what you're going to be doing is voting a yay to elect, a yay! to elect the slate of candidates as presented, or a nay if you have any concerns or want, whatever it is, the reason you might want to say nay. You have the option. So either in the online version or in person, please do that. And in just a moment, or in a little bit actually, because the deadline is by the end of the treasurer's report, which my understanding is about 10 minutes. So you've got till about, we'll just call it till about 1:30-ish to complete your vote. And then they will, they would be Stacy and Chris Lazarga, will come gather the votes. And we have a way to count the online votes as well. And then we will calculate and present those. So next up, while you all are voting, we have Steve, who is going to present the treasurer's report.
Hello, everybody. This is my favorite part of the meeting. I'm a numbers guy that's kind of hanging around a sea of cultural creatives, so sometimes I feel a little bit out of water here, but here we go. I think we got slides up here. Overview, yeah, that's where we want to be. Financial trends, we're going to discuss a little bit about our financial trends of last year. We're going to look a little bit at our budget in the coming year. And we'll discuss a little bit about our prosperity consciousness in terms of who we've tithed to, breakdown of who our tithes, who we've received tithes from, and just a brief bit about saving for our future, which is sometimes our future's now. On to the next slide. Just quickly, we can go over some of the trends from last year. One of the big expenses, of course, we have is the facility. And for a couple years, the rent didn't go up, but it has been increasing at about 3% a year. And so currently we're paying $3,420 a month. And around August, when the contract renews, it'll probably go up 3% to $3,523. That's a significant thing. This is our home, so we keep a good eye on that. We did end the year in the red by $15,706, but the good news is our total income was up $58,056 from the prior year. So even though we're still in the negative, the good news is our income is going up, and that's truly a positive experience for us. Do we have a next slide? What is a budget? We do the budget every year. Oftentimes on the board, we have a lot of different people with different skills and different sets. Sometimes finding a group of us to actually sit down and crank the numbers out is a little hard. This past year, we had 5 people on the budget team, and I think that's extraordinary. And I certainly was blessed to have all those people that were that interested in our budget, how the church works, and how the money comes through the congregation and out through our expenses in support of the community, our employees, the facility, etc. So we always have a financial plan. It sets an intention for our prosperity and the programs that we offer our community in the coming year. Our budget is based on contributions primarily from members, The income is not guaranteed. It's whatever we receive on a month-by-month basis. And this sometimes is different from people or businesses that have a very good understanding of what their income is every year. We like to think with the best, and we truly do experience that, but we don't always know. Our operating budget is designed to be what we can count on for planning our programs, and our income is typically estimated conservatively, and we plan to increase our income and contribute to savings every year. Those are our overriding goals. Our next slide is just an overview of what our income was for 2023. We actually show 3 columns of data there. There's the 2022 actual, 2023 actual, and what our budget is for the coming year. If we look at our total operating income over those 3 years, we can see for 2022, our total was $167,767. That was coming out of COVID when, we weren't having in-church services and stuff. That was a very, very difficult time for us in a lot of ways. 2023 reflects a major improvement over those days when we were dealing with COVID. And we did see that huge, significant increase in our contributions during 2023. If we look at our budget in the coming year, we can still see that it's increasing. We do have, we all live in that world where everything around us is increasing in prices. The same thing is happening for us. So we have to look at the increases, what we saw for rent. We do have employees and staff people that need to live off of the wages we pay them. We have a number of those things. So we have, we're experiencing or looking at increases then in the coming year. Kind of the significant line there is we look at what we call our prosperity funding. To a certain extent, this is income that we receive that goes above and beyond our regular tithes and love offerings that we receive on a regular basis. Typically, this includes our annual fundraiser. It can include any other numbers of fundraisers or different kinds of ways of raising money during the year. What we're looking for always is different ways that we can inspire the community and people to give in ways that connects with them and their experience here at Unity of South Sound. I think Reverend Megan has gone over a lot of the things that we're doing to work through that opportunity for new ways of giving. And one of them, of course, is moving beyond our concept of tithing, which is simply giving in connection to our income. And I believe she mentioned that we do have that opportunity for planned giving, which is where we give from our wealth. And that's a much different program than we do with our tithing. And it's something that we're working on to bring forward to the community as we move forward this year. There are any number of ways that we can fill that prosperity funding gap, and we look forward to the creativity and the inspiration of all you congregants out there. This is a community that deserves and warrants the support of all of us, and I think it's something that we want to continue to support as we move forward. I think Reverend Megan spent a lot of time talking about all the things that we're doing. We're not sitting and waiting for anything to happen. We're walking the walk. Our notes just indicate that we are self-funded. We don't really get money from any other source. We contribute to Unity Worldwide Ministries. They don't necessarily give us money back. They have funded us with grants. They did support things like moving costs and a couple other things. So they are in themselves a resource, but not necessarily a funding vehicle. Our 2024 budget is going to be based on increased intentional giving, tithes, and love offerings compared to the prior year. We need to continue to increase, and also of meeting our goal of prosperity funding. So we have things that need to be done, and we're working that path real well. Can we move on to the next slide, which is our expenses? And we don't want to spend a lot of time detailing what all these little different expenses are. We can kind of understand by their titles what they entail. You know, supplies for offices, our payroll, of course. This is something that that's how we operate by staff. We're really not seeing much in terms of increasing in the payroll. The numbers you see there, probably some slight increases, but primarily because we shifted Mary, whose income was basically under the marketing and social media category in prior years, and we shifted that to payroll. So you'll probably see marketing and social media, that budget's gone down, and other payroll budget's gone up. Youth ed, well, youth ed, there was not much going on there during COVID, so they didn't have much activity. Well, they're back online. They're back. They're alive and well and doing things, and that's exciting because we need to have a vital youth educational program. So we can see that budget's going up, and that's a reflection of the activity that they're doing, going to camps and all that. So that's important for us, and we support that. It's also important to know that with the youth ed expense that we see there, that's supported in 3 different ways. A third of it is supported by the church itself. A third of it is supported by when kids go to camp, their parents, their sponsor, or when the teachers go to someplace, they each pay a third. And then the final third is supported through their fundraisers, like they did with the potato bake this way. So they raise a third of their expenses as well. So we see that number, it looks big, but it's supported in 3 different ways. Trying to look through there and see if, well, down at the bottom we can see that we did the minister search thing, you know, like Reverend Megan says. This is her first full year here, so we did have moving expenses and search expenses and those kinds of things, and those days are behind us, and we are grateful for that. And then, of course, our tithing expense down there at the bottom. We do tithe 10% of the income and the tithes that we receive every year. So you can see our total expenses, you know, they've increased a little bit, but they tend to remain fairly constant. They don't change as rapidly sometimes as our income does. So we usually have a pretty good idea of what we're going to spend every year. And that's coupled with the quasi-uncertainty of what we're going to receive. But we've been able to deal with that pretty well coming out of the COVID era. If we can move on to the next page, it's just a quick review of what I just presented there with the incomes and total expenses. It reflects that in 2022 we were off by 58,000, so we're looking at a trend here it's positive in terms of where we're going financially, and I think we can understand by the work that's being done that we have a lot of things that are things that are happening that promise to help us out as we move forward. Let's go on to our next slide. And then even on to the next slide. These are all the organizations that we tithe to in 2023. We tithe for a variety of reasons to all these organizations. Some of them include unity-related organizations in terms of the headquarters. We also have the opportunity to tithe to regional churches as a way to support all the churches like us throughout the Northwest region. And for us, that's an important way to connect with us as a larger entity. We also support to local charities. And hopefully, we want to do it in a way that not is supporting them in a charitable way, but we look for organizations that basically, how do you say it, teach people to fish. That they just don't give them a fish, they teach them to fish as well. So that these are organizations that enhance the lives of the people that they serve. And that is in accord with our mission, too, to enhance the lives of the people who are here as well. And we also have a number of organizations that are both global and across the United States as well, to remind us that we do not operate solely here in this community, but we are what we do impacts the global world. If we can move on to our next slide. This is the breakdown of the tithes that we've received, and it shows what we've received at various levels. And we've probably all heard a little bit about the 20-80 rule, where 20% of the people give 80% of the contributions or support for an organizations, and we follow fairly closely to that. If we look at that $2,000 mark there, everything above that. All those tithes represent 83% of the total that we received. And that's supported by 28% of the people who gave tithes. So we're a little bit broader than the 20%, and that's good, because if we have a broader group of people supporting that 80%, that demonstrates that we are a stronger community in a lot of ways. I'm reminded that we did have one significant contribution that changed a lot about how we received things this year, and we were grateful for that, because if we recognize where we were before that, we were a little sad, but when we received that, it really did change our attitude and made us realize and recognize probably what we already know, is that all things are possible. And that if we're willing to receive and open up to that opportunity, those things happen for us. And we're ready to move on to our next year. So what's I think I have one more slide. Saving for our future. Our future, we prefer not to dip into our savings. So in some ways, with COVID, our future was now, and we had to use a lot of those funds, not a lot, well, a significant amount of them over the years to keep us solvent. So those are the numbers we're looking at the end of 2022. We're at $109,000 and change, and then we're down to $72,000. It would be so sweet if we didn't have to use those funds anymore. It's much better for us to sit there and look at them and know that they're there and not use them, than to be in a situation where we need to actually use them just to move on. As a board, as budgeting people, we really do look, very closely at our expenses and what we can do. And it's a challenge every year to say, is there a way for us to spend less? And, it's just not an easy question, and we've never found that answer. So that's why we endeavor to grow what we do as a community and as individuals. So that's my report. I'm open to any questions that you might have. LaDonna, we have a microphone here for you.
Yeah. Hi. Who offered that lovely gift to us?
Pardon me?
Who offered the generous?
That was from a local family foundation.
What family?
From a family foundation.
Oh.
That's what we're.
In looking at the tithing report in all of the organizations that we contribute to, I noticed that a lot of the organizations are other Unity churches. I love that. But is there a way that we can maybe, because those organizations do further the Unity message, but I feel like we as a community could expand ourselves outside of just Unity by donating to other organizations that, involve better equity inclusion for other people, or organizations that do other things other than just the Unity message. It just seems a little like we're donating to ourselves a little bit when I see donations to Unity of such and such, if it's not Unity worldwide.
That's a good question, and it's a question that we address fairly regularly. There's some emphasis on us donating more exclusively to Unity organizations than the community. We've tried to create a level of balance there. Basically, 50% of our tithes go to Unity organizations, and the other 50 go to local and global organizations.
And if I could just speak to that, there is a significant reason in that our tithes back to our organizational, we are their congregants. So they depend on our giving for them to continue to create the resources and curriculums and the ways to support us, because that's their support. So most churches give the significant back to Unity Worldwide Ministries, Unity World Headquarters that includes Silent Unity. Right. And then the regional ones, this ministry has had a plan where once a month they choose a ministry within our region to bless them, but never more than $100. So it's sort of a capped thing, and that we're supporting each other as we are building within the region to create presence. And we get gifts from other churches occasionally as well. And then we also looking at how can we contribute to organizations that are making a difference that align with our beliefs. So there is a conscious, and they're actually the tithe team. They send out the list of what they plan to send based on the amount of the 10% that we have available for that month, and they decide what places it's going to go to. But there is a formula that they operate on. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Jennifer?
If you do develop a community outreach team, would there be anything in the budget for that team? Or would that just be something you'd have to look at on a case by case?
There currently isn't anything specific for that, but we would take it under consideration and see what we could do to support that. So it would be on a case by case situation. Any other questions?
I just want to know if you'd be open to other agencies. Would we give the team that determines who to tithe to an agency that we would think worthy of our tithe?
Yes, we typically review the tithes or the agencies that we give to. We have a number of things that we look at. We haven't really reviewed our ongoing list here in a couple of years, and we're due to do that. But with the national and global organizations, we only tithe to organizations where they have where their budget, where over 80% of their money actually goes to the work they do, so that they only have an operating budget of 15% or less. We don't always get that information from local people, but we do have a review process that we look at. So if someone has an agency they'd like us to look at, you can send that to me, and our team will take a look. Any other questions pending the results of our election here? All right, well, thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I'm going to tag on to the conversation about that we were just having. I want to point out, you'll notice it looks like a lot because there's 12 different local unities. We donate to a different one every month. So it looks like a big chunk of the list, but in actuality, it's not a big chunk of the money because the other organizations might get repeat donations from us, and they'd be larger donations and so on and so forth. So just because in that little list that's in the program, you know, it looks like a giant part of it, it's also actually a smaller part when you come to the dollars. Next up is other business, which we really didn't have any, but I'm going to take the floor for a moment just because I think it's really important. One of the accomplishments we've had during my tenure on the board, and I feel this is a great accomplishment, is coming up with the board core values. And I know we've shared this before, but I want to share it again to remind you what our core values are as a board, and also to remind the board members and to inform the incoming board members of what our board core values are. We are spirit guided. We let go and let God within us lead our path with awareness. Authenticity. We speak genuinely from our heart center, expressing and sharing our unique spiritual experience. Joy. We practice looking for the good in every situation, choosing to be positive and content, creating a current of joy that permeates every aspect of life. This binds us together and freely spreads outwards into our community and into the world, positively influencing others. Connection. We recognize our divine connection with each other, utilizing compassionate communication, prayer, mutual respect, and support. We create individual and community growth. Kindness. We treat each other and ourselves with divine love. By respecting and maintaining clear boundaries, we create a safe place where we experience joy, compassion, and generosity. So, we are grateful to be in service for you. And I'm so grateful for my fellow board members that came up with those. We came up with those as a group. It was a great practice. All right, it is my great joy to announce we have a resounding yay and unanimous yay for the board elections. And with that celebration, I'll move on to any general questions that you might have for the board. Any one of us, we're all available to answer. So please ask away.
Hi.
Hey, Joey.
Hi.
I think we need your mic on. Hang on one second.
Okay.
Amy's got, okay, go.
Okay. This is an issue that I just sort of kind of thought of as you were reading the qualifications to be a board member. I don't know what it takes to change the bylaws. I'm not asking for a change in the qualifications, maybe just a change in our verbiage of the bylaws. Right now it says his or her, and if we could move away from the gendered terms to their,
I love that.
That would be great.
I
don't know
love that.
what, yeah.
And we've done a bylaws change. Steve and I were both on the board when we had a bylaws change, and I think it's fairly simple. The board has to determine that there's a need for a bylaws change, and then we bring it to the annual meeting, and you all vote on it.
Yeah, you have to vote in. So we present, this is the actual verbiage change,
Right.
and then it's added another ballot where you have to vote it in. So it is a process. It's not like we could decide to do it next
Right,
week.
right.
Yeah.
We
and
could have a
there may
special
be-
meeting if there was urgency, but it is something we could put on our calendar of a reviewing for next year.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
was.
there may be other areas in the bylaws where
Yeah.
that's
Where, yeah, I was thinking like anywhere in the bylaws where that is
beautiful,
present, we could
point.
maybe change to there as
Yes.
opposed to his or her.
I love that. That's very current and very appropriate and respectful and kind.
You know, when I'm reading the bylaws every week, it's like something I really noticed, not. So it's like,
Great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions or comments like that? Yes, we've got one.
People online can't hear you.
Sorry, online folks. I just want to acknowledge Jennifer, who leads the performance, the platform people, and she hasn't been acknowledged yet. So, Jennifer, could you stand? Anita, oh my God. So someone take the mic away. Anita Landry. There's two of them, but it's only Anita who's here.
thank you, Diane. I apologize for my faux pas.
Oh, I apologize for just dropping this in, but one thing that was accomplished this year, and I'm not sure who wrote it, but it's the statement recognizing this property on the indigenous
Oh, the land
site.
acknowledgement statement.
Land acknowledgement statement. So,
Thank you.
It
Yeah,
was-
I completely.
Forgot about that.
well, I did too, obviously.
And it's
So,
It is. It was brought to our attention, and we do have it on our website. And it is an important thing as we become more aware of the diversity of people and the impact that we've had in our world and how it's evolved and changed, and that the native indigenous people, the impact that they've had and for the land that we now call home, and to acknowledge them for that.
As I recall, it was a collaborative effort, and even a community member who has some experience in that, who's also very involved in other ways, gave us feedback and their experience in their exposure to those statements. So y'all make it work. We all make it work together.
And I probably should have pulled it up to read.
Go ahead, David.
But go ahead.
I just want to say on behalf of all of us, what an awesome team you have up here. I just want to say thank you to all of you guys. And I'm just super grateful to be a part of this family. Thank you.
Me too, David. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry I'm using my phone, which we tell you not to do, but I wanted to do what Reverend Megan suggested and pull it up. The land acknowledgement statement, and read it for you. For
And
those
because
who
it's the
haven't
kind
seen
of thing that would be appropriate for us to read at the beginning of a meeting like this. We also have a diversity statement, a DEI statement, which is really important. It's on our website, and I think it's also posted on our e-blast.
And do you know, is it in the About Us?
Probably.
About Unity of South Sound. Sorry?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, there it is.
There it
down.
is. Well,
No.
we have the DEI. I can read that as well, but first I'll start with the land acknowledgement. The Ministry of Unity South Sound and its members want to acknowledge the land that we are gathering on today. Excuse me. Get emotional. As a traditional territory of many nations, including the Puyallup and Nisqually tribes, and on the lands with deep significance to other Coast Salish tribes. Coast Salish people have lived on and stewarded these lands since time immemorial, and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is one small step toward true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous people of this land and beyond. And our DEI statement is, together, we embrace our individuality. We celebrate our uniqueness with full acceptance of all people, including every expression of the divine. We come together with love and compassion to be a light for all. We stand together in unity. Any other questions or comments or statements? All right.
I'd wait. I have one more thing.
Okay, one more thing.
So Michelle and Nancy are both stepping down from the board in service. Next Sunday, we will be formally installing our new full board, and we would traditionally be acknowledging those that are stepping down. But Michelle's birthday's tomorrow, and her husband is whisking her away next weekend, so she won't be here. So I wanted to acknowledge and bless her today. So. And I just have to say, I'm having a little challenging transitional anxiety because Michelle has been such a blessing. She's the one that welcomed me in to be here to help guide me into this ministry. She has been such, we've had way too much fun actually getting together and brainstorming and talking and everything. So we are committed to continuing to do that. But she has just made a huge difference, and her technology and her ability to help us micromanage some of the things in the background that needed to be done, we couldn't have done without her. So I just want us to bless her so we can put our hands together. Michelle, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity you are. Thank you for your presence and your gift. And should we sing happy birthday? Quick, quick, quick. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, we love Michelle. Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you. You're wonderful. God is blessing you now.
Thank you, all you gods, for blessing me. Because God surely has blessed me with this community. So I am so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And she's not disappearing.
I'm not disappearing. And technically, the birthday's Wednesday, but I had parties last night, so I'm tired. I had a surprise party last night. Yeah, the husband surprised me. He got me back 20 years ago. I surprised him. So. Anyway, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, we're going to move to closing out with the prayer chaplain's demonstration and
Yes.
a closing prayer.
An interactive prayer is always special. Do you guys need extra microphones?
I think we'll
Just use the one?
right here.
Okay. Okay.
So, as prayer chaplains, we wanted to just tell you how much it means to us to be your chaplain and to pray with you every month, and how rich and rewarding that experience is for each of us. Some of us have relationships with you that span many, many years. Those prayer relationships are so deep and wonderful to each of us. And we also appreciate the chance to pray with each other. As prayer chaplains, having a prayer chaplain is wonderful. And to be able to release any concerns or things that are on our heart with prayer just means a lot to us. So we know that not everyone has a prayer chaplain. And we think, well, maybe you don't know what it's like to have a prayer chaplain. And so we wanted to do a demonstration for you of what it's like to pray with a prayer chaplain. So Scott is going to pray as if he had just called me on the telephone to ask me what my prayer needs were today. And I said it would be wonderful if we prayed for Unity of South Sound for the upcoming year 2024, for our new board, for our children, for our prosperity. That's the prayer that I would like to have. Thank you. We all, yeah. That's what we do.
I invite you all here to come into Ginger's prayer intention. To Ginger and Julie and each of you here, each of you who may be watching now online or in the future sometime, and the incoming board, the outcoming board, to all that have participated ever in our church or who will ever participate in the future. I invite you all to close your eyes and take a breath and relax from this intellectual, stimulating meeting that we've had and settle back down into a place of heart and soul and why we are here. And as we breathe into that space, we know together that there's only one presence and one power active in our lives and the universe. God, goodness, God, source, God, love. As we sang together today, we are all of one family. All of one family, the family of God. And as the power of that hits you, as it just hit me, I invite you into a little bit of silence to dwell on what that means to you and how it feels. And simply breathe and feel that feeling well up within you. Today, we may have noticed something in the meeting that we wanted to change, or something that we want more of, or something that we want less of. And we are the unity of South Sound. So if you felt a call, we are the power and presence to answer that call. You are all invited. Consider today, Jan became a member and a board member in the same day. That opportunity is there for all of us to step forward in whatever capacity to give of our time, to tithe, to contribute in any way. And each of us so appreciates this church. We saw today all the things that are going on, all the ways that people are volunteering. And we know that there's many that haven't been told that there's people here that have contributed to this church for decades. We know we have Cerny and all the music that he brings. We know that we have been in many different locations and had many different ministers, and yet there is a presence and a power existent in this congregation that welcomes us all. And we are so blessed that this is so, for so it is. Amen.
Our meeting is officially closed, but if I could have all the new board members quickly come up here for a little quick gathering. Otherwise, the rest of you are free to go and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for your presence.